English step by step. Be used to, get used to. Step 1. Let's look at some examples. In all of these examples, we have to be used to. In all of these sentences, used to means accustomed to. For example, you can say, I am accustomed to the cold weather, or I am used to the cold weather, or I am accustomed to spicy food, or I am used to spicy food. Another example could be, I am accustomed to driving at night. That means it's not a problem for me because I am used to driving at night. Now, in all of these examples, used is an adjective in the same way accustomed to is an adjective, and to is a preposition. So let's look at some examples. Number 1, I'm used to getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning. That means it's not a problem for me. I am accustomed to getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning. Maybe it was a problem before, but now it isn't a problem. I'm used to it. Number 2 is a negative example. He isn't used to getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning. That means it's a problem for him. He's not accustomed. He isn't used to it. And the next one is the question. Are you used to getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning? So that means, are you accustomed to it? Is it a problem for you? So that's the question form. So let's look at the structure. Here we have to be plus used plus to, and that's a preposition, plus a gerund. Now the gerund is ing, getting, ing, getting. So all of these are gerunds. So I'm used to getting, he isn't used to getting, are you used to getting? So we can use gerunds after the preposition. So that's the structure of the first 3 examples. So let's look at the next 3 examples. Number 1, I was used to the cold weather. So that's talking about a situation in the past. Instead of I am, it's I was. I was used to the cold weather. And we have the cold weather. Now that's a noun with an adjective. So instead of saying I am used to getting, for example, you can say I am used to the cold weather, or I am used to the hot weather, or simply I am used to the weather. Next example is negative. We weren't used to the cold weather. So again, it's using the past tense form of the verb to be, because remember, all of these sentences have the verb to be, because the verb is to be. Used is an adjective, it's not a verb. Number 3, were they used to the cold weather? So there you have the question, again, with the verb to be. So now I'll just repeat the sentences so you can listen to the pronunciation. 1, I'm used to getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning. 2, he isn't used to getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning. 3, are you used to getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning? 1, I was used to the cold weather. 2, we weren't used to the cold weather. 3, were they used to the cold weather? So in all of these examples, used never changes. It's an adjective. So let's just think a little bit more about the meaning of these sentences. Number 1, I'm used to getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning. That means it's not a problem for me. Number 2, he isn't used to getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning. That means it's a problem for him. Number 3, are you used to getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning? Well, the question is it a problem for you? Is getting up at 5 o'clock a problem for you? And then we come to these examples below. Number 1, I was used to the cold weather. That means Well, it wasn't a problem for me. The cold weather wasn't a problem. Number 2, we weren't used to the cold weather. Well, that means the cold weather was a problem for us because we weren't used to it. Number 3, were they used to the cold weather? The question is, was the cold weather a problem for them? Was it a problem for them? So here is the practice exercise. I would like you to practice making sentences like the ones that we've looked at. So let's just look at these again for the pronunciation. Number 1, I'm used to getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning. He isn't used to getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning. Are you used to getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning? I was used to the cold weather. We weren't used to the cold weather. Were they used to the cold weather? So you can make sentences like this using the examples 1 to 8 here. Example 1. It's not difficult for me to drive on the left. Number 2. It's difficult for him to live alone. Number 3 is a question. Is it difficult for you to work at home? So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 can all be changed into sentences with used to. So find a piece of paper, write down the answers, and then we can check the answers in the next video. So I'm going to leave the exercise on the screen for 1 minute to give you time to write down the answers. Of course, you can pause the video if you need more time, and when you've finished, move on to the step 2 video in which we'll talk through the answers.